of task, Telangana Academy for Skill and Knowledge, to give an introduction about apprenticeship and its benefits for students. And he will also, share some of his experience about apprentices, and then how task is also contributing into it. So these are the partners there you are able to see in my screen. These are the part of the apprenticeship working group. So right from government bodies, agencies like ILO, UNDP, and we have industry bodies, some industry representatives, and all these part of this working group. And we also have some supporting partners who are helping us to in this outreach program. So recently we have the Telangana State Board of Intermediate Education, and also we have Medhavi Skill University. So today Mr. Pravesh from Medhavi Skill University will be taking all of us through these apprenticeship things. So Srikant, please, yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Very good afternoon to all. My name is Srikant Sinha, as introduced by Satya. I think there is always a misconception about the awareness about apprenticeship itself. There are questions, a lot of questions in people's mind that after doing my engineering or my diploma, why should I do an apprentice? Why should I become an apprentice? And that's probably what we aim to break, because one thing which is very, very clear is people don't hire you for the knowledge of knowing what a screwdriver is, but have actually used one. And that is where the whole thing is. I think you're able to hear me?
Yeah. Yes, Srikant,
all right.
Please.
Sure. Thank you. So we did a survey amongst this group itself just to find out that how many people actually are aware about apprentice and how many people are not aware about apprenticeship itself. And we were surprised to see that more than 71.6% of the students who are there on this call were unaware about apprenticeship itself, the act itself, and the various things within it. So what we did was, let's look at it, and then we said, okay, if they know about don't know about apprenticeship, let's see if they know about internships. And we found out that a lot of people were aware about internship, but they were confused about the two. And not only students, but also industry sometimes gets confused between apprenticeship and internship. So we said, let's try to demystify this and see how exactly both are different from each other. So most of the people, when they are doing internships, etc., internship is for a usually shorter duration of time, 1 month to 3 months, while an apprenticeship is from 6 months and as long as 3 years. So that is the very first difference itself, in the duration itself. But if you look at it more closely, if you look at it, when you become an intern somewhere, as an internship, you are becoming an intern somewhere, right? It is where a student is deputed or sent to a company for a short period of time, but there is no formal agreement that is done. So it is basically, you are sending the person over there just for some exposure. So typically you would say, okay, become an intern over there. You would continue to do everything what you are doing, just understanding how the shop floor or the office or wherever that the internship is, you will be observing things more closely instead of actually getting involved. Third thing is, there is no training. There is no scheduled thing which says, okay, first week you have to do this, second week this, third week this. So there is no structure to the program that is there. And as I already said, there is no formal contract that you go into. And plus, internship is promoted by institutions and your companies itself. The colleges, etc., would like to send their students for internships. The companies want interns to work with them, but there is no formal agreement. Well, if you look at apprenticeship, it's a formal contract in place. Everything is specified that the person is going to get attached to this company, right, where he would actually work. There'll be a structured program that he would be going through, a structured training program. There'll be, the complete thing is defined right from day one itself, right? Also to mention, as Satya also mentioned in the beginning itself, apprenticeship is also promoted by the government through various schemes, NAPs, NATs, etc. And we'll be talking about that later on. I'm sure my other colleagues on the call will talk about it later on. Moving to the structure itself, as I said, internships aren't, it is not in a structured manner, it is not focused, and generally it's on entry level general work experience. And that's what it is. So it doesn't train you for doing a particular skill, but it's a generic thing which happens. So that's where the first difference comes. It's a generic program. It's the main intention is how do you get some general work experience. Thank you. And not a structured. While when I said about apprenticeship is a very, very structured kind of a program where there's a training plan, there is and it'll be mastering a specific skill. For example, if you are wanting to become, let's say, a quality control person in the pharma industry, then everything will be structured according to how you get the skills for becoming a trained person for quality control. And that's typically what it is. The employer's need is to fulfill an occupation within the organization. Needless to say, in case of internship, and if I compare it with apprenticeship, internship being smaller duration of time, organization do understand you, but not completely. While if you look at apprenticeship, it's a long duration association with the organization, and due to which, organizations typically, if you're doing well, they would much rather hire you instead of looking out in the market for someone else. I also mentioned that internship does not include mentorship in most of the cases. What they will do is, okay, this is the thing, do it yourself. But apprentice, there is a mentor, there is a guide, there is a person who is attached to you who will ensure that he walks you through the entire learning process itself. So that's one key major difference. So if someone is saying, oh, look, I have done 2 months of internship, why should I become an apprentice? So here is one major difference. And it's generic learning, non-mentored versus mentored, structured learning. Of course, internships mostly are unpaid, right? And may, as I mentioned earlier, may or may not lead into a full-time job, while apprentice are mostly paid. In fact, it's mandated by law. And as I said, if they find you good, if you are able to convince them about your skills and your attitudes, then definitely it would lead to a full-time employment itself. Internships, if you want to put it in your CV, you can put it, but it is not an industry recognized credential. If you say, I've done an internship somewhere, the people will say, okay, fine. But when you say you have done you have been an apprentice with one of the organizations, and this is what your apprenticeship was focusing on, automatically the industry looks at what you have done and understands that you have gone through a rigorous process of being an apprentice. And of course, as I said, most of the now we talk about dual degrees, etc., which my colleague from Medhavi University would be talking about, where internship and apprenticeship experience may both lead to college credits, although some apprenticeship program would also lead to a debt-free college degree itself. And that's what my colleague would cover later on. Next slide, please. Thank you. Now, if you look at it, as we said earlier also, the Apprenticeship Act has been put in place, and this is to regulate and promote apprenticeship training in the industry itself. And the best part is that the industry, in fact, every month, like we do this webinar, we also do a webinar to help the industry understand as to what is Apprenticeship Act about, how can they benefit from it, and so on and so forth. As we are running this webinar for the benefit of all the students who are there today, be it degree students, be it engineering degree students, be it diploma holders or ITIs or even junior college. I think we need to, at junior college level itself, we should start deciding as to what we want to do, how do we want to do, because I think that's the right time for us to take career-based decisions. Now, the Apprenticeship Act is also, as I said, available in the industry for imparting on-job practical training with a view to meet the requirement of skilled manpower. It's definitely a way to create from education towards employment. That's one of the major things. Second thing is creating a talent pool, so that you can bridge the divide between the demand and supply that exists in the industry today. And that's where apprenticeship actually, is there. If you look at it, apprenticeship, and over the years, if you look at the graph over here, you can see that more and more people are getting engaged to apprenticeship itself. And there are more than 521,593 apprentices who, got engaged in the period of financial year 21-22, which is up to 31st March 22 itself. So you can easily see, as per the graph, that more and more people, the industries are looking forward to it, as well as people are looking forward to it. If you look at, there are total 155,100 apprenticeships, registered. And this is the number of establishment, the companies which have registered, for providing apprenticeship opportunities. Total active establishments, if you look at people who are already working with our apprentices, etc., throughout the country, is about 30,000. And number of candidates, I'm happy to say that, more than 66 lakhs, close to 70 lakhs of our students today are registered on the apprenticeship portal. In fact, my submission to you is, in case you have not registered yourself on apprenticeship portal, please go ahead and register yourself today. This is the first step towards your successful career enablement that you will be able to do. As I said, about 11 lakhs 6,000 plus apprentices are engaged, cumulative, if you look at it, till 31st March 2022. And they have been engaged in different sectors. And if you look at it, automotive, retail, of course, IT, ITES, power, electronics, these are the topmost sectors, the top 5 sectors where the apprentices are involved. If you also look at the states, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Haryana, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, and many more states have got these apprentices, all the 66 lakhs apprentices that we are talking about. We have already looked at, awareness about apprentice. And as I said, if you have not registered, then please go ahead and register yourself today itself. I also spoke about the NAPS and the NATS portal. You have the registration links over here itself. I think today what is most important is that not only you should register, but also help your friends, your colleagues, etc., also to register for this, because I think it's important. And if you look at it across, I think it's important from both perspectives. With NEP being, rolled out, apprenticeship becomes an integral part of all degrees, etc. Now, hands-on is a must, right? And that's where this whole thing is. And on that note, let me move quickly to the benefits that are there for the students itself. Just to reiterate what I said earlier, first-hand knowledge of how industry works, right? You would be only going to know once you have gone into an industry and become part of the industry itself as an apprentice. I have already spoken about this. Apprenticeship definitely helps you develop industry relevant skills. Plus, as I said, it also helps you, get the latest world-class experience with the latest technologies in your college, etc. The labs are there, but the labs are quite different from what you actually see in the industry. And that's where you will be able to get trained with the latest technologies, etc. I think apprenticeship, if you ask me very frankly, in your doing your college education or your diploma or whatever you have been doing, you actually pay money to get to learn. But apprenticeship is an opportunity where you are actually being paid to learn. And that is where it's a significant difference. So it's earn while you learn kind of a scheme which is there launched by the government. Job readiness and having an edge over other candidates, I think I don't need to reiterate it. It is very simple that you would be much more attuned, you'll be much more focused to whatever is being exposed over there. And I took the example of the pharma industry. You could take an example of any industry. And we spoke about the 5 top sectors which are there where apprenticeship is actually being rolled out in the industry today. I have already said, and my colleague will talk about it, it also leads towards acquiring a formal and globally recognized qualification. I think some of the things that are not actually expressed over there, but while you are an apprentice, you will be learning a lot of things. You will learn corporate etiquette. You will learn multiple things. How do you articulate whatever you need to communicate? So communication, presentation, articulation, all the 21st century skills, working in a team, right? All these things will be also, you will be learning side by side, right? Though it is not specifically mentioned, but yes, that's what happens when you are there for a long term. You'll understand that how an organization works and how you are a part of that organization. And since you are part of that organization and you are able to communicate as to how that organization would benefit by employing you, after your apprenticeship gets completed, will definitely lead you towards a full-time job opportunity. And that's where, in a nutshell, if I say, these are the multiple benefits that you would gain, not to mention that, yes, that's where you would be laying the foundation for your successful career itself. I think this was the last slide for me. Am I right, Satya?
Yeah, Srikanth. Thank
Great.
you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks,
yeah.
and all the very best to all the students who are there on this call. I hope all of you will, register yourself and get your friends and anyone that you care about to register on the apprenticeship portals and become part of this industry. Needless to say that today, if India in its 75th year of independence needs to be called, instead of a developing nation, a developed nation, we need more people with hands-on experience. On that note, all the very best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Srikanth. Thank you very much for your time and explaining the introduction about apprenticeship and all. So now I request Mr. Pravesh Dudani, who is the Chancellor of Medhavi Skill University, to take all of us through different schemes in apprenticeship that is available with all of us, and also an interesting topic called degree apprenticeship program. So he will be taking us all up through this session. Yeah, Mr. Pravesh.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Satyaji. Thank you for giving us, Medhavi Skills University, an opportunity to, talk to the students and share our experiences and benefit of the program. And thank you, Mr. Srikanth. I think you explained the whole proposition of apprenticeship very beautifully about the difference between apprenticeship, internships, and your best example was, knowing about screwdriver and actually using the screwdriver. So that's the real key of apprenticeship. And for students, is the most important point to understand that without the practical experience, the only education will not take the students much ahead. And the world is changing so fast in terms of the technology, in terms of our the best practices what are happening in the industry, our supply chains, manufacturing processes. And so our education system is not able to really cope up with that. The curriculum which are existing in our ITI, the infrastructure, the training equipment, machines which are there in our ITI diploma colleges or engineering colleges or even graduate degree colleges, that's very, very far behind, and only maybe 1% of the colleges are really keeping up with what industry really needs. So apprenticeship is actually what, if we understand, it's a formal it's a formal way to engage with an employer, and the employer will provide the training on the job, and the government will in a way certify that what time you have spent, what you have learned, and there is a way to certify that, and that certificate will hold value. So that's the main difference of apprenticeship and internships. And it's a very old phenomenon. In 1960, that Apprenticeship Act was formed by the government to really regulate and recognize the on-the-job training, with the industries. Historically, that has been mostly being done for technical trades, technical industries. Mostly ITI and polytechnic diploma pass outs were going into the industry and doing their apprenticeships. Lately, when the government recognized in last few years that apprenticeship is the way to actually increase the supply side and match it to the demand side of the industry, we have to really integrate apprenticeship in all forms of education. Even a graduate is coming out, and then they can take an apprenticeship and actually work with a company, or it's a 10th pass out, or even somebody who is not 10th pass out, but can that candidate be offered an apprenticeship opportunity? And the government has beautifully actually given a lot of incentives to the employers in terms of financial incentive, and there are a lot of regulatory incentives which actually, and there is a mandate, and there is a mandate by law that they have to hire apprentices every year, certain percentage of their total workforce. And a company who is not hiring apprenticeships, there are actually penalties and fines which they need to pay. So the company, on one side, the companies don't know about this. On the other side, the students are actually, when they apply, they search for apprenticeships, they really get confused as to where to apply, whether a company would hire or not. So let me tell you, any organization in India, whether it's a small firm, a showroom, a workshop, or a large company, manufacturing industry, factory, if they are employing more than 30 people in a year, they have to hire apprentices. That's the law. And this would really match that demand side and supply side. And Government of India is taking this as an opportunity, that apprenticeship is a platform to really increase the employment and employability for the youths of India. Right. Next slide, please. Now, understanding what are the apprenticeship schemes available. There are two fundamental apprenticeship schemes. One is run by Ministry of Education, which is National Apprenticeship Training Scheme, and the other one is National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme, managed by Ministry of Skills and Entrepreneurship Development. Now, within NAPS, there are the students who get out of ITIs, they pass out of ITIs, they have an option to get into the designated trades. I'll come to explaining the designated trades, as in what is the difference between a designated trade and optional trade. But broadly, ITI candidates have an option to get into an apprenticeship contract with an employer, and that apprenticeship contract, since it's a designated job role, designated course by government, the certificate is given by NCVT, National Council of Vocational Training. Now it has been restructured to be called as National Council of Vocational Education and Training. Now, and this for quite number of years, this flow has been going on, which is that ITI candidates take up the ITI candidates take up the designated trades, and for want of getting a NCVT recognized certification, which is an apprenticeship, national apprenticeship certificate. Now there is other category, which is optional trades. So that is managed by National Skill Development Corporation. That's a semi-government organization, and which has been mandated to manage the entire Apprenticeship India, Government of India portal, and manages all the optional trades in partnership with all the sector skill councils. So basically, an apprenticeship program, the curriculum of that is actually worked out with NSDC and all sector skill council in the relevant sector, and that particular course can be taken up by any candidate, whether it's a 10th pass candidate or an 8th pass candidate, or a graduate candidate, graduate pursuing candidate, or an ITI candidate, or even a 12th pass candidate, all different kinds of students coming out of the education system can enroll in that optional trade as an apprentice. Now somebody will ask me that an ITI candidate, whether they should take an designated trade and an optional trade, right? How an ITI candidate will decide. Now, just to answer that, see, government has very specific designated trades as an option. For example, if a candidate is doing ITI in electrician, and there's a designated trade which is apprenticeship in electrician skills, so that will be assessed and monitored by the RDSDs. There are regional council for which manages all the coordination for these apprenticeship in their region, and the certificate will be given by NCVT. But for for a candidate who doesn't want to maybe take a designated trade, wants to take up an optional trade, let's say, which is not there in the designated trade list, can actually enroll in the optional trade as well. And the number of optional trades available is huge. It is more than maybe 20 times than what the list of designated trades are available. There are thousands of such course options available in the designated trade. Now, the certificate in case of the optional trades is given by Sector Skill Council and the company which is employing the apprentice jointly. The stipend, the stipend which the candidate gets, it's not basis the state minimum wages. Usually when a candidate is employed in a company, the minimum salary they get is actually dependent on the minimum wages rules of the state. But in case when the company is employing the candidate as an apprentice, the minimum the minimum stipend they need to pay is governed by what is the educational qualification they have. Now, in case of somebody who is already a graduate, minimum 9,000 rupees has to be paid, whether they are engineering graduate or a normal BA, BSc, BCom. Now, in terms of polytechnic diploma, engineering diploma, minimum 8,000 rupees needs to be paid. In case of somebody who has done a vocational course after class 12 or a class 12 pass, the minimum stipend is 7,000 rupees. In case somebody has completed an ITI, that is also eligible for 7,000 rupees as a minimum stipend. Or 10th pass, it is 6,000, and class 5th to 9th passes is 5,000 rupees. Now, student usually have this confusion that is this the only stipend I'll get? No. All the companies have flexibility to design the stipend in such a way that they can give value to the candidates and actually take work from the candidates as well in the shop floor. For that, they actually map the stipend they're giving as per market demand, right? To incentivize the candidate. So a company can give a ITI pass candidate as good as maybe a 15 to 20,000 rupees every month as a stipend. That is also possible, and by law there is no problem. This is the minimum they need to give every month. Now so there is a separate scheme called National Apprenticeship Training Scheme, NATS, which is so in that it is governed by Ministry of Education, and it is more traditional compared to the National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme. And here traditionally so when we go to industries, or when the student actually sees openings in newspaper by the PSUs for hiring the apprentices, you will see that they are hiring specifically for graduate apprentice or technician apprentice. What is the difference between both of them? A graduate apprentice is someone who already is a graduate, maybe an engineering graduate or a normal BA, BCom, BSc, BBA kind of a graduate. Right, and technician apprentices are those who have completed their diploma, who are not graduates. So minimum after class 10 they have completed a 3-year polytechnic engineering diploma. They are called technician apprentice. So till this year, NATS as a scheme was only focusing on the technical courses. Somebody who has come out from engineering, somebody who has come out from diploma colleges. But lately the government has announced that NATS as a scheme will also cover the graduates who are coming out, and the number is huge. So in India, if we see the number of the degrees which is degree colleges, and the number of people who are doing the general degree like a BA, BCom, BSc, constitutes about 85% of all higher education. So that is a huge number, and that is a big challenge, that those people are not really employable. The people who just do the degree program and then look for the employment. So government has announced that they will also get benefit of the apprenticeship training scheme, and the company can involve those graduates as well, right? And they will be called graduate apprentice. And you know, and why government has done that? To incentivize the companies also, because they have financial incentives and other incentives to actually take these apprentices and train them, as well as get work done out of them. Next slide. Now, National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme. This is, as we discussed, this is run by Ministry of Skills, and this is also this is a hugely successful scheme. This is a very flexible, very very structured. All the contracts get generated on Apprenticeship India portal, and there are two parts to it. One is the apprenticeship contracts being generated as designated trades, and one for the optional trades. Now, in the industry, usually it is identified by calling it as like a trade apprentice, when an ITI candidate, or mostly ITI candidate and some 12th pass candidates or a graduate candidate picks up a designated trade to complete their apprenticeship program. They're called trade apprentices. And in last few years, an optional trade options have also come in. The students who have completed their 12th and they have done some vocational course from AICT approved vocational courses, they are called technician vocational apprentices. Next. Now, it's important to understand broad difference between designated trade and optional trades. Now, designated trade is courses which are enlisted by Government of India, recognized by DGT, managed by DGT and RDSD in different regions. These courses are very structured and developed by CSTRI, Central Staff Training and Research Institute, who also the organization which also creates the ITI curriculum. So they make that apprenticeship curriculum, and there is a separate trade test which happens every quarter. And once the student clears that trade test, they get an apprenticeship certificate by NCVET. Now, fundamentally and historically, when we talk to the ITI principals and ITI teachers, they recommend students who are passing out from ITI ecosystem to actually do designated trade, because some companies find the certificate which is given by NCVT more valuable than an SSC certificate. But actually now the SSC certification, which is a joint certification between SSC and industry, is also really catching up. And there are much more number of courses available in the optional trades. Why? Because in optional trades, the best benefit is that employer, the company which is hiring, so let's say a very highly technical mechatronics related organization which is into mechanical aspects as well as electronics, and has a flexibility to devise its own course in partnership with NSDC or Sector Skill Council, an apprenticeship course, and where they can contribute to the learning outcomes and create a course which is unique to their requirement as a company. That flexibility is not there in the designated trades. Now, once NSDC recognizes that courses, the companies start getting benefits in terms of the financial incentive they get, and the course gets recognized as a National Skill Qualification Framework recognized course. So those are the benefits in the optional trades. Next. Now, see, usually a lot of students usually ask that, which path they need to take. Now, I will cover all aspects of the candidate and what kind of apprenticeship they should really get in, whether they should get in NAPS or whether they should get in NATS. So let's go step by step. One is that somebody who is completed an ITI. Now, for an ITI, it is recommended to get into designated trades under NAPS, National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme, because they'll get an NCVT certificate. However, if an ITI pass out candidate wants to just shift their career, maybe they want to get into an office operations kind of an role, or into logistics, or maybe sales and marketing, they may think that they want to change their path at which they are going. So they can get into an apprenticeship contract with an employer in an optional trade in any career course they find suitable. So in Apprenticeship India, Government of India portal, when you register as a prospective student who wants to enroll into an apprenticeship contract, you will see the listing. Like when you apply, go to naukri.com or indeed.com, you get the job listing. In Apprenticeship India portal, there are job listing, the apprenticeship openings which you need to apply. And there is no catch that an ITI candidate can only apply to these particular trades. An ITI candidate can also apply to maybe a sales and marketing or a non-technical trade. It depends on his or her career choice. Now, somebody who has done a technical diploma, polytechnic diploma, it is recommended that they should do apprenticeship through NATS, National Apprenticeship Training Scheme, because there they get a certificate through Ministry of Education, Board of Practical Training. So that certificate the manufacturing industries value, and there is an hierarchy, and there is a historically all manufacturing companies, automotive companies have a mechanism that they take the fresh diploma pass outs from the industry, and from the different colleges, and put them into the technical apprentice format. Same with the engineering pass outs, they can get they will be called as a graduate apprentice. Now all the short term skill certificate candidates, or maybe a 12 pass candidates, they should apply on Apprenticeship India, Government of India portal, and look for the optional trades. So they will have more flexibility, more courses available, they can choose the employer, and it is very, very exhaustive. Thousands of such openings are available on Apprenticeship India, Government of India portal. Now, fourth is very interesting. Why? And I'll cover this in further slides, that the students who are pursuing their degree or diploma can also, enroll into the apprenticeship. Government of India has actually opened that avenue also. So if you ask your parents, they will never understand that you are going to a college as well as actually working somewhere. So that concept is a recent phenomenon. Now that brings me to the apprenticeship embedded degree program, and this is actually a game changer for our Indian ecosystem, for bridging that employment and employability gap which is existing when the students are coming out from our different colleges and getting into the the employment scenario. Now, and then there is one really interesting point, that somebody who's, let's say, class 12 pass, or somebody who's an ITI pass, or somebody who is in class 10 pass, they do a normal apprenticeship program. Now what is missing is, we have taken feedback from the companies that they still value the qualification. Now in long run, in couple of years, they still value that, okay, you are a 10 pass candidate with an apprenticeship certificate, or you're a 12 pass candidate with an apprenticeship certificate. Now in India, degree holds a real value in terms of the signaling value, that that there is a sense of pride when somebody says that you are a graduate, or you have completed a diploma from a recognized institute. So the want to complete degrees is a very, very big phenomenon, and the industries on a long term also value a formal qualification. Now Government of India has realized that, and actually UGC has come up with guidelines which allows for embedding apprenticeship as a proper component of the degree program. For example, when you are pursuing education, you have subjects and you have credits. Now Government of India has said that you can have 2-3 subjects combined, and you can call it as an apprenticeship component. It can have credits, and it will be treated like a subject which will have its grades and marks, and then it will help the student complete their earn their degree. So that is the very, very big change, and I have added screenshots of the UGC guidelines, which allows for the universities to actually partner with any organization for providing them apprenticeship, and that has to be done outside campus, inside an industry premises. Next. Now, what is apprenticeship embedded degree program? So if I summarize, it is actually a program which gives a candidate the real practical skills, a UGC qualified degree, opportunity to earn, learn while earn, which is they get stipends while they're working, and they get a practical work experience. Now, when we, let's say in our companies, when some big companies hire, what they want from the candidate, they need work experience and a good qualification, recognized qualification. These are the only two things required. And in apprenticeship embedded degree program, these two things are well packed, that you get a work experience letter as well as a degree when you're completing your degree. That's the best part of it. Now, what is the objective of the apprenticeship program? It's to improve the employability of the students, and there are lakhs and lakhs of students who are pursuing their normal BA, BCom, BSc, BBA kind of degree across India in different degree colleges or normal universities, government universities. So this is the scheme where they will be able to enroll in an apprenticeship in parallel to what education they are focusing upon. And this scheme has been launched to promote active linkage between the higher education system and industry. Now, what is the scope of apprenticeship embedded degree programs? It allows for embedding the apprenticeship component without changing the overall duration, so that you will still complete the degree in 3 years. The university can tie up with any industry, have an MOU, and then send the students for completing their on-the-job training as a formal apprentice. Minimum 1 semester has to be completed, and maximum, as per the UGC guidelines, all the 6 semesters, which is the 3 years, can be spent inside an industry premises while they complete their apprenticeship program. Or there are universities and colleges which send students in the industry alternatively. 1 semester they are in the campus, 1 semester they go to complete their apprenticeship program. Now, a lot of students have confusion that क्या ये डिग्री नॉर्मल डिग्री से अलग है? अप्रेंटिसशिप एम्बेडेड डिग्री प्रोग्राम में हमें आगे कोई पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन करना है या गवर्नमेंट की जॉब्स में अप्लाई करना है, will we get that opportunity? Usually that's the question a lot of students have, and the parents are really afraid that, you know, whether this degree is really recognized or not, an apprenticeship degree, apprenticeship embedded degree program. Now let me clarify that there are notifications by UGC, AICT, that an apprenticeship embedded degree program is at par with any general degree program, and after getting this degree they will be able to sit for any government competitions, government exam, can apply for a post graduation. So all those flexibilities are available. Now, so if we compare what is the real, what is changing in, what is different in the apprenticeship embedded degree program. Now, traditionally, we have seen that in our in different institutions, they are not really catching up with what industry wants, right? So they are still they are teaching with the old curriculum, which has not been updated. The BA, BCom, BSc type of courses, the curriculum is very, very old. The books, the examples are old, and the industry has really progressed because of the whole communication revolution which has come, the digital revolution which has come. So now when the university builds up a curriculum, an apprenticeship embedded degree curriculum, they partner with industry and take the input from the industry that what kind of skills they want and candidate to learn. Then we design a curriculum which has an on-the-job training component. Exam assessment is done in partnership with the industry. So on-the-job training duration assessment is actually a process of taking feedback from the industry. Now, I was telling you that parents usually have a confusion that, and they have historically seen that after they complete their graduation, then they go and search for jobs, and then they go for getting their work experience. Now, in this case, on-the-job training is not a normal loose internship, but is a formal apprenticeship which has a Government of India certification as well as a letter of completion and a certification by the employer. And that is very, very valuable when the student changes jobs. There is a rush in India that, people are doing just they have to. It's a mental block that they have to complete a degree. So whether they know or don't know that what they're going to do after they complete their degree, they will still enroll in a degree college just to get a degree. But an apprenticeship embedded degree program will promise a degree along with the possibility of employability, because A company where a candidate would have worked for between 1 to 3 years, the candidate will learn all the nuances of working about that company. They will know how to use their machines or how to actually complete their documentation. So the company will make sure when the candidate completes their apprentice, they are hired. So they will not let the candidate go. So it is in a way assurance of employability. That's the best part. Yeah. So yeah, and now because of the new apprenticeship rule and national education policy, there is a flexibility of the delivery of education. Now it can be online, face to face, on the job. All models are possible. Next. Now broadly, I'll summarize what are the benefits of apprenticeship immediate degree program. One, you get a degree or a diploma. If you are a 10th pass, you'll get a diploma. If you're 12th pass, you will get a degree, which is a general degree recognized by UGC. You will get a apprenticeship completion certificate from industry, NSBC, Sector Skill Council. You will learn the theoretical part in either online or the skill centers or at the campus, and the practical skills you will learn on the job while you work at the industry. Since you are actually working and you are contributing to the output of that industry, whether it is machines, operating a machine, or maybe creating a project, or doing some sales and marketing, you will be paid minimum stipend. And while you are getting that minimum stipend, it really opens up an opportunity for the candidates who are disadvantaged, जो अपना education खुद से afford करना चाहते हैं और अपने parents पे नहीं dependent होना चाहते हैं. तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा opportunity है उनके लिए कि वो apprenticeship immediate degree program में अपना admission लें. They will be able to learn through online mechanism, on the job, on site. All those options are available. And there are skill loans available. So the companies actually provide loans to the candidate to fund their education, because they know that they're earning, right? So the companies they're not really worried that how this candidate will pay, because this candidate is anyway earning. So skill loans are easily available. What is the benefit the industry gets? See, industry the candidate knows that because of that industry, they are getting their degree getting completed. So the candidate tries to stick with the company. So it helps in reducing the attrition. And lastly, I discussed about the degree acceptance. The apprenticeship immediate degree program is fully accepted for post-graduation as well as for any kind of government jobs or career progression. Now, I also want to touch upon, the changing scenario in education system because of the national education policy, which has been floated in 2020. What is happening is there is a convergence of the skilling activities which is happening into the educational tracks which are available. Now, through this, what is going to happen is there will be interportability. Like a student from a college can go to a skill center, complete a 6-month course, and that 6-month course will be recognized by the college to give that degree diploma. So essentially, they will earn credits, right? Mandate can complete 1 year, let's say in Delhi University, and Delhi University will assign credits. That the credit storage and credit transfer flexibility is being brought into our education system. So that will be a big help for the students who actually sometimes feel stuck, that if they've gotten admitted into one college and they see that after 1 year they're losing interest, can they get out after 1 year, not wasting that 1 year? Yes, now it is possible because of the Unified Credit Framework and Academic Bank of Credit. The second most important, which actually we are discussing, is apprenticeship immediate degree program. That is the main highlight of national education policy, and multiple entry and multiple exit. I was discussing that a candidate will be able to leave after 1 year with a certificate, graduate certificate, can leave after 2nd year with a diploma, graduate diploma, and after 3rd year with a degree. So there is no compulsion. The university or a college will not be able to hold a student कि भाई आपको हमारे यहाँ 3 साल complete करना है. A student will be able to get out after 1st year, 2nd year, or 3rd year, and come back after a few years in the same college or a different college to start from where they have left. Now UGC has also come out with an option to complete their enroll in 2 degrees at a time. So a candidate who is enrolled in a normal BA, BCom, BSc can also enroll in a vocational degree, which is BVOC parallelly, right, in a nearby skill university or a skill college, and actually get access to employment. Now, what are the different options of apprenticeship or OJT embedded programs? The government of India has also allowed companies to hire candidates as a fresher and train them over 2 years, so that in 2 years they'll get an ITI certificate. So that is also an kind of an example of OJT integrated model. Then there are diploma and diploma for 10th pass candidates and BVOC, Bachelor in Vocation, for 12th pass candidates, where there is a full flexibility that diploma and bachelors of vocation can be earned by the student while they are working in the industry for as low as 6 months and as high as the entire 3 years. So that's the structure. And now the apprenticeship embedded degree program is where a formal apprenticeship contract is generated for any kind of a graduation degree, BA, BCom, BSc, BBA, or a BVOC. An apprenticeship contract can be generated under the NAP scheme, NAPS scheme, or a NATS scheme. Next. Now, if we see, if we compare, and this is very, very important for students, that today, parents are saving, they're putting their life saving to invest in the education of their kids. And students or parents are taking huge loans to fund their education. And for a normal on-campus based BA, BCom, BSc, or a engineering or a diploma kind of a courses, students and parents are spending 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 20 lakh rupees over the time. And then there is a debt trap that they are on the loans, and that loan carries with the student over the next 5, 10, 15 years while they repay it. Now, the apprenticeship embedded degree program, and I'll give an example where a student, let's say, is enrolled in a BBA in retail operations program, and the employer has committed stipend every month of in average in the 3 years, the company pays a 10,000 rupees stipend. So total stipend they'll earn in a 3 year is about 3.6 lakhs, right? Now, the beauty of it is that while the tuition fees, they will be able to in some cases, they'll be able to actually save while they complete their degree program. So it's in a way an option to actually not only sponsor your entire education, but actually earn while you are gaining the experience in a degree program. So that's the main difference, and one that the students need to know. Next. From here, I would invite my colleague Jessie Dimple, who is the Dean of Academics, Academic Affairs and Medhavi Skills University. She recently was in Germany to understand the German model of apprenticeship, and I'll request her to take over from here, speak about the German model, as well as really explain how, give an example of how a degree apprenticeship really works. Jessie.
Thank you, Pravesh. Am I audible enough?
Yes.
Yes, okay, great. Till now, you've been understanding what is apprenticeship and the features and the benefits of a apprenticeship embedded degree program. And many of you by now must even have got interested and maybe considering that they will apply for an apprenticeship degree program. So in India, traditionally, most students go for a normal degree program and don't opt for apprenticeship. But abroad, many of you would be aware that earn while you learn is a very common concept, and most of the youth are engaged in earning while learning and consider it a means to be independent and fund their own education. Now, the developed countries, almost all of them have some sort of an apprenticeship model in their countries, which the students may follow, or they may choose to take a job while learning as well. However, Germany is a country which is very proud of their apprenticeship system, because Germany for many, many years has been following it, and it is the most popular mode of education in Germany, where students opt for this dual VET system, which is dual vocational education and training system, in order, even immediately after their general education. So their general education, whether they finish their equivalent of 8th standard or 10th standard or 12th standard, they can join a company as an apprentice and side by side do their complete their education in a vocational school. So what it means is that there'll be two learning venues for them, the company and the vocational schools. And they, they also get paid a stipend or a salary, which is around 1/3 of the salaries of a full-time employee. And it increases in the first year, it'll be 1/3, second year, it'll be a little more, and third year, it'll be a little more. So that's almost like the stipend that our apprenticeship model offers. This means, and over there, these students are both employees and students at the same time. While they're working in the organization under a contract, they're also studying. So they're both, two-thirds of their time is spent in the companies working, and 1/3 of their time is spent studying. And and the apprenticeship duration can be anywhere between 2 to 3.5 years, depending upon the trade, how long does it take to learn. The surprising thing is that 60%, more than 60% of the youth of Germany opt for this dual system. There are people who are going into higher education. However, if sometimes even they decide to leave higher education in the middle and opt for the dual system. So I wanted you to know this to get a perspective that that is the reason why vocational studies and skilled labor, skill is a very, the level of skill, the quality of manpower, working professionals is very high in Germany. Now I want to also, for those of you who are even starting to consider the apprenticeship model, I want to show you a few examples of apprentice integrated degree program and show you a basic structure so that you can understand what will actually happen when you take up a apprenticeship embedded degree program. So for example, we have a program called BBA Retail Operations, that is Bachelor's in Business Administration, Retail Operations. So the apprentice part of it, which happens in the companies, and we are partnering with companies like Reliance and Pantaloons, Aditya Birla Group and Trends to offer for the on-job training portion. So the structure of the training is already pre-decided. So what will happen is they will first work in the 3 years are divided into 6 semesters. The first 2 semesters, they will take up a role which is more, which requires less prior knowledge and where they will work under instructions. So something like a retail associate come cashier. They will work as a retail associate come cashier for the first year and gain exposure in the various aspects of it. They'll rotate into various sub-departments, and after 1 year, after every semester, they'll be assessed. And if they clear the assessments, then they can move into the next role for the 3rd semester and the 4th semester, which is the retail sales associate. Now, the sales associate is slightly higher than the associate and come cashier, because here they'll also have to start understanding about the product, about competition, marketing strategy. They'll have to face the customer. They'll have to learn those skills. Then if they clear the exams for this or the internal assessments for this, then they will be offered the retail team leader role. The retail team leader role is again a higher level role where they'll be supervising a team. So this way you can see that even in the 3 years, they are getting an exposure and opportunity to grow in the role. So when they're out of the degree program, they have worked actually had a work experience as a associate and cashier, sales associate, or a team leader. Side by side, parallelly, they will also be studying. So they will be studying subjects which could be related to the retail sector, which is the domain. There'll be subjects which will be related to how to live a productive and healthy life. And then there'll be subjects which will make you a good professional, like communication skills, planning, time management, and specialized subjects for the work that you're doing. So in the first semester, as you can see, there's communicative English on one hand, introduction to the retail store, and then cashiering and merchandising, and so forth. You have employment readiness, environmental science, and teamwork, and financial and cost accounting even. So these subjects will also be run parallelly. The main thing is the duration is 3rd years, and any 12th pass in any stream is eligible for this program. Right now, another some more. So can you come to the next slide, please? Yeah. So no, the previous one, please. Yeah. So now the thing, what I was talking is earlier about was the pre-decided apprenticeship deliverables. So we will discuss with the industry and create a flow of what all the students is supposed to learn, and there will be a logbook which will contain it, and the student and the industry will both be updating this logbook as and when the student has finished learning that particular subject. So this ensures that the student gets a very systematic exposure and everything gets covered as far as possible. It also gives the trainer opportunity to tell the student that you have not yet finished learning this skill and you have to do it again, you know, in case they're not doing well, like they would if they were a real employee. The internal assessment is done by the industry itself. So the instructor or the supervisor who is responsible for the apprentices, they will observe them on the work, they will put them through certain activities, and then they will grade them on the learning of the task, on their attitude, on their discipline, everything. And ongoing support and coordination will also be provided by the university so that it runs smoothly. So we will be in touch with the student and the instructors so that the university remains aware of what is happening and ensures that everything is running smoothly. Thank you. Next slide, please. Another example of an apprenticeship embedded program is the BSc program in hospitality and hotel management. Now, that is also a very good program that Medhavi is doing in collaboration with IHG Hotels and Resorts. And here, the structure will be such that in the first 2 semesters, the students will get an exposure to all the departments. You know, they will be rotated to all the departments one by one. After they've done this in the first 2 semesters, then they will choose a specialization. So, and that choice will be either approved or disapproved by the industry based on the skill sets and the aptitude that the student is showing. So if a student is showing an aptitude towards front office, they're more communicative and, they have an interest with interacting with customers. So they might choose that. Or if a student is showing an aptitude towards, say, food and beverage or housekeeping or kitchen, so they can choose that. But what will happen is that in the first, they will learn slowly from a lower level to a higher level. So in the 3rd semester, they will start as a trainee steward, whichever specialization that they've chosen it, they'll start as a trainee. And then they will spend time working independently as a steward as well. Then they'll work as a trainee supervisor, and then they'll work independently as a supervisor. So part of the semester, the first part will go as a trainee, and in the end, you will get an opportunity to work independently. But the same rule applies here, that there'll be an internal grading, and whoever clears the internal grading can go to the next row. In any case, all of them will get 3 years of work experience, which they can talk about in their CV. So these are the various career progression pathways that they can opt for. So while I'm saying steward, supervisor, captain, and manager, the progression will be as per shown here, that it could be in the housekeeping staff, they could start as laundry staff and cleaners, and then go to room attendants, and then inspectors, and then housekeeper, executive housekeeper. So something like that. Yeah, thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, so another example here is a BSc Mechatronics that is being offered by Team Lease, I think. And here, so they have divided their course into NSQF levels. So while all the roles have NSQF levels, even in the previous examples, but here the roles are operator of a mechatronic system, system operator, and then system designer and system supervisor, and then system maintenance engineer and automation engineer. So you can see that they can grow up to an engineer level if they choose to work meticulously and learn everything. So the career progression can go like this. I also wanted to take you through a certain, how your life cycle in this whole program would be. So after you've done your admissions and enrollments, usually, not every time, but usually there is a basic training that you'll undergo, in which it'll be a small training of 2 to 3 months, sometimes in the university campus, sometimes in the place of close to the industry. There will be an industry partner, there'll be a training partner taken who will provide the premises. It's usually 2 to 3 months. And this is so you can get the technical, professional knowledge, skills, and attitude that is required for you to be productive on the job, so that you don't become a liability to the organization. So the company that is hiring you, they have a business to run, and one mistake can lead to a loss of customer, loss of reputation, and many other disastrous consequences. So the basic training of how that you should know before you go to a workplace, that will be provided here. There'll also be an exam at the end of it. And if you clear the exam, then you'll be eligible for being contracted into the apprenticeship. Some companies prefer to interview the candidates before contracting them as an apprentice, because an apprentice is almost like an employee. They're going to be working with their employees, and they'll need to gel into the environment, and they need to face their customers. So they need to be sure that the candidates that they are taking on as apprentices are those that will work for them. That'll be that can be groomed and that can be trained. So they are coachable people. So the contract will also lay out the terms and conditions for the apprentice as well as the industry. For example, the duration, the stipend, and all that. After the contracting, the OJT and the academic learning will run parallelly. So sometimes what happens is that the on-job training is for 8 hours a day, and then you have to study for another 2 hours a day. Sometimes you have 5 days a week you do training, and 1 day a week you do your studies. This will all be decided in the apprenticeship contract when we are laying out the terms and conditions. Both the OJT and the academic learning have their own assessments, internal assessments. So like we've already discussed, at the company where you're working in the OJT, the supervisors, the instructors of the industry, they will observe the work and performance and grade the learners based on it. While for the academic learning, the assessments will be done by the university, and internal assessments could be weekly, it could be monthly, It could be special assessments. So these are internal formative assessments where the trainers know that the student is attending classes and they are learning. The classes could be like Pravesh sir had mentioned, online self-learning materials will be given, which you have to read and then take an assessment, or instructor-led virtual learning will happen, that you can take on your cell phones and there'll be an instructor who will take you through a classroom on a virtual platform like we are doing now. And we could also have instructor-led classrooms where there's a large batch of people in the industry. Sometimes the industries can provide a room and we can do the training there, or we can have a training venue close by and conduct some trainings on a face-to-face, in a face-to-face manner as well. Now, this is about the training and the internal assessments. The final assessment will also be twofold. One will be the practical assessment, which is for the work that they have learned. The university will be responsible for organizing an assessor who will test and observe the learners at the workplace and give them the grades. And the final academic examination, that will also be conducted by the university, and many times it could even be a proctored online examination, which you could take wherever you are based out of. The final grades that you will get every year will be a combination of, will have a weightage of the internal assessments, the final practical assessment, as well as the final academic examination. They will all be considered in calculating the final grades. So every bit of learning that you're doing is going to be important. I wanted you to understand this also, that it's not going to be a loose program like an internship would suggest. It will be a very organized program where the learning is important and has a weightage in the final grades. Yeah, the next slide, please. I think that's it. Over to you, Pravesh, because we have some people talking.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Jassi, for a detailed explanation and engaging the students with about this apprenticeship program. And
thank you.
There is, so there is one recording that one of the apprentice has shared. I would just like to share here the video. So
मेरा नाम मोहम्मद सनी रोशन है, मैं कोलकाता से हूँ। मेधावी स्किल यूनिवर्सिटी के बारे में मुझे एक फ्रेंड ने बताया था। उन्होंने मुझे एक ब्रोशर दिया था, मैंने उस ब्रोशर को अच्छे से पढ़ा था। मैं MSU वेबसाइट भी विज़िट किया था। तो MSU वेबसाइट विज़िट करने से MSU का जो कोर्सेस है उसमें बारे से मेरे पता चला। तो उसमें से मुझे जो अच्छा लगा था BBA रिटेल ऑपरेशन प्रोग्राम। तो मेरे लगा ये प्रोग्राम मेरे लिए अच्छा है। तो मैं कोलकाता जो हेड ऑफिस है वो उसमें विज़िट किया था। हेड ऑफिस विज़िट करने के बाद मुझे ये चीज़ जानने को मिला, MSU ने ये प्रोग्राम रिलायंस जैसे बड़े बड़े इंडस्ट्री के साथ कोलैबोरेशन करके चला रहा है। तो ये जो प्रोग्राम था उन्होंने स्टार्ट किए थे लर्न एंड अर्न प्रोग्राम। तो ये मुझे अच्छा लगा, तो मैंने तुरंत एडमिशन कर लिया थे। तो अभी मैं रिलायंस कोलकाता स्टोर में ऑन जॉब ट्रेनिंग में हूँ। इधर मुझे काम करने से स्टाइपेंड मिल रहा है अभी। तो इधर में एजुकेशन भी हमारा चल रहा है और मैं अर्न भी कर रहा हूँ। तो इधर जो मेरा कोर्स फीस है, मैं इस जो स्टाइपेंड मिल रहा है, ये स्टाइपेंड से ही मैं हमारा कोर्स फीस में दे रहा हूँ और मेरा फैमिली को मैं हेल्प कर सकता हूँ। तो मैं अभी जो रिलायंस में काम कर रहा हूँ तो मैं बहुत अच्छा महसूस हो रहा है, क्योंकि मेरा पर्सनल डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है। मैं पहले से भी ज़्यादा कॉन्फिडेंट हूँ। इधर जो क्लास हमको हो रहा है तो वो प्रैक्टिकल हम इधर को करने के मिल रहा है। तो ओवरऑल मुझे ये प्रोग्राम बहुत अच्छा लगा। तो मैं आज इस मौके में मेधावी स्किल यूनिवर्सिटी को थैंक यू कहना चाहता हूँ। थैंक्स अ लॉट मेधावी स्किल यूनिवर्सिटी।
Thank you. Great. So these are some of the support systems which are available. I mean, if any student would like to explore more about apprenticeship or apprenticeship embedded degree program, they can connect with these organizations. So there are some more organizations still, But these are the three one which we mentioned here. One is Gram Tarang, and then one is Medhavi Skills, and then we have Team Leads. So students can connect to these email IDs to know more about the programs if they have some interest to do it. And now I would I would invite Mr. Bendra Negi, who is the General Manager of Human Resources at GBKC Global Private Limited, to share some of his experience about engaging the apprentices in their organization. Mr. Bendra, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Satya. Thanks for the introduction. First of all, I would like to thank you everybody for organizing such a great event. I'm currently associated with the company GBKC Global Private Limited, and we are engaging diploma apprentice. We are already having more than 100 apprentices who are already associated with us. And before I speak more about this, apprenticeship program, I would like to share something about me. I think that will give you a little more insight about me and my relation with apprenticeship program. I started my career in 2008. I started with the publication industry. I moved to electronics. Then I got a chance to work with the power electronics company. And finally, I just worked with a tool manufacturing company. So yesterday, I was just thinking about this program, and the thing that came to my notice is that, in each industry and each company, I became the one who introduced apprenticeship program. Means before my joining to the company, there was no such program running before. I'm talking about the big corporates. I'm not talking about small companies. These companies are more than 1,000 crore to 5,000 crore turnover. What Mr. Shrikant said in an earlier slide, that only 28% students are aware of these apprenticeship program. I would say same goes with the industries as well. So it is quite surprising for me that every time whenever I join a company and I explain about these schemes, people or management get surprised to know that there is such schemes running in the market. These companies are more than 12 years old, 15 years old, 20 years old. Still there was no awareness. So the awareness is not required only for the students. I would rather say that awareness is required to the corporates as well. Companies are not aware of these schemes. They don't know how to run it. Even they don't have any idea about it. So I would like to show you a small slide before I proceed further. Can you just, Mr. Satya, can you give me the rights to run a slide? I'll not take much time, but I'll run through it, and I'll cut it short because I think most of the points has already been covered by Mr. Paresh, and Mr. Srikant has already covered everything about the apprentice scheme in very detail. So I would be sharing my experience so far, how it's been and how we are running it here in the company.
I think you can share a screen directly, Upendra.
Oh,
just look at this option. Yeah.
Okay. Let me check, because I'm not very tech savvy. So let me take time to just see that.
Yeah, I think.
Is it visible now?
Yeah.
I think most of the point that I'm showing in my slide has already been covered. Still, I will take you through this slide from an industry perspective. See, as we discussed earlier also, that there is a demand and there is a supply. We, as a company, being an HR, I've been hiring people for different industries. And what I see is that there is always a demand in the company for the manpower, and there is always availability of manpower in the market. But there is a disconnect. That disconnect is about skill set. So whatever the skill set generally industries are looking for, that is not available in the market. So I personally feel this apprenticeship scheme, which runs on Apprenticeship Act 1961, is a tool that is going to fulfill that need, right? So if you see, if you see industry and its entitlement or eligibility for keeping apprentice, there is a law which has already been defined that at least 2.5% of total strength should always be an apprentice to run a establishment where we have more than 30 workers. This scheme is running since 1961. Still, there are a lot of industries who are not even aware of it. So running such program that we are running today is going to be helpful for the industries as well as the students who are willing to take their program through any industry.
Yeah. Sure.
So I'll take it short and I'll just come directly to the conclusion of this benefit that our students are getting through the scheme. It is a work integrated scheme, since the student are not only getting education, but they are getting the practical exposure through the scheme. They get exposure to work in industry. At the same time, they are getting paid, as earlier explained by somebody, that it is a learn and earn scheme. So anybody who is enrolling the scheme is getting a chance to get exposure to earn, and at the same time they are getting a skill set. So the employee, or I would say the student, is getting through a transformation right from an unskilled and unemployed person to a skilled and an employable person. Right. So this journey is becoming very useful for the person who's getting enrolled through this scheme, and at the same time it is good for the industries, because industries are also getting a lot of benefit through this scheme. Is my slide not visible? I get a message from somebody.
Yeah, I think it is still in slide 1 only. So fine, Bhupender, can you please quickly summarize? Yeah.
So in short, what I can say that we are already running a scheme in a company, or we have more than 100 students who are working with us, and they are at par with the benefits with other employees. We are giving them stipend, we are giving them accommodation to live, we have a canteen facility for them, we have a medical facility for them. So all the sort of facilities that we are providing for other employees, the same kind of benefit is being provided for the apprentice as well. So in short, what I can say is that we are pretty happy, because what we are doing in a company to analyze the productivity of these students. We have, since we are into garbage manufacturing, so we are running few lines, because we are working on the line system. We are running few lines through these apprentices only. So we see the productivity coming through a person who is coming directly from the market, and the person who is working with us as an apprentice. We analyze the skill and we realize that the productivity, from the productivity point of view, they are comparatively better, and they are giving more and better productivity than other workers who are already associated with us. So this is what I want to say.
Wow. Thank you, Bhupender. Thank you very much for sharing your experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we will have quickly a few questions. I think it has come up. Maybe I will request either Siddharth or someone from or Jashi to answer those questions. So one question is, I think, what is the minimum and maximum age for apprentices? Siddharth or Jashi, can you please respond?
Yeah, I'll take this.
Yeah.
I'll take
Yeah.
this. So minimum age is for any hazardous industry. Minimum age is 18 years, and for any other industry, it is minimum age is 14 years for getting into apprentice. So that's the benefit. So like somebody who wants to get into employment, minimum age has to be 18 years. But in case of apprentice, it is actually 14 years, except hazardous industries where there is a risk of working with machines, and the environment is very tough. So the apprenticeship advisor usually takes a call whether it's in a hazardous industry or not. In
Okay.
terms of
Maximum,
yeah,
maximum
yeah.
age.
So maximum, I need to. So to my understanding, it is actually it goes as good as up to 35 years of age. People who have actually wants to change their industry, they can also after some work experience, they can also join as an apprentice. But that if any of my colleague can actually help me and answer that, what is the upper age, that will be helpful. But to my understanding, to the audience here, there is no problem in terms of any age. So somebody who is a 25 or a 30-year-old candidate who wants to switch his domain can also join any other industry as an apprentice.
Yeah, I think this is open in other countries. Not sure if in India also it is permitted or not. I know in some countries it is open. The age is open. They can do at any point of time.
Correct.
Okay. And this program of apprenticeship, they need to do one after another, or they can start in the second semester. How it works? This apprenticeship program.
Apprenticeship embedded degree program.
Yeah. We have 6 semesters, right? So they have to go one after another, or they can drop in the middle, they can come back, or how it is?
So usually what happens is, there is this special provision on the Apprenticeship India portal, where we can configure an entire degree program as a one standalone course and generate an apprenticeship contract for the entire 3 year for the organization, right? In case of the BBA retail operations, we have generated the apprenticeship contract for a 3-year duration. And the course name is BBA retail operations, because the candidate is actually working for the entire 3 years with one particular organization. So that is one way of doing. The second way is that we generate contracts which are smaller in duration. For example, candidate who has completed their 2 year of education in a campus, for the entire 3rd year, we generate apprenticeship contract. That 1 year in the 3rd year, they complete with the employer. So there are various ways, right? And there is a lot of flexibility inbuilt in case of optional trades while we generate the contract on the Apprenticeship India, Government of India portal.
Okay. Thank you, Pravesh. Thank you. So I think with this, we will conclude the session. And if any more questions are there, we will share through some FAQ kind of thing. And so on behalf of this apprenticeship working group, I would like to thank all the participants, the working group members who joined this program, and Mr. Srikanth to talk about the apprenticeship introduction and benefits and all, and Mr. Pravesh and Jassi and team who took the whole session about different types of apprenticeship schemes, apprenticeship embedded programs, and some examples like BBA retailing and hospitality management and all these programs. So thank you very much, Mr. Pravesh and your team, for taking all of us through this session. And I think once this session is over, we will share this presentation and all the contents with all the students. And if anybody would be interested, probably they will be, contacting the email IDs that we have been sharing with you all. So thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a
Thank you
lot.
for giving for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.